Dressed up for you today. Wore my Rib City shirt.
Excellent.
Got a hat on from golf today because my hair is totally uncooperative. I don't have the same hair as Harrison Bader, which, the girls love that.
Sure, yeah.
I think he took over for Mike Matheny's buttocks. I'm not sure, but I think most of the women are talking about.
He is a heartthrob, I guess.
He is. I've actually fallen in love with him. So I don't know if you heard our singing, our Earth, Wind, and Fire singing as you were
did hear it.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Sorry.
It was very good.
Don't apologize for things that other people may find amusing. Okay?
Okay.
Because I think it was pretty good.
All in all, we did a pretty good job.
I think so. It's like you every week. You do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
All right.
I try.
I know you do. So I told the story when I first got here. I was actually, I just made it into the studio. I've never been late. I've been late for one show. I told that story, but 30 seconds, because somebody's broken into my PayPal account and has bought computer gear. And I thought, now, who has been sitting near me that might know my stuff, that has the technology to be able to do that? And I thought it was Jeff Groby from SumnerOne.
Not a chance.
All right, I know you didn't do it, but so now I got to do a whole thing online about,
Yeah.
Oh, God. It's a mess.
That's trying to clean up those types of breaches are very, very...
I just can't even imagine who's got what where.
Right, exactly.
And
they sell it and resell it.
Right,
and all
sure.
that, yeah.
So, and then trying to prove that you didn't order something or whatever. So
Yep.
I'm right in that stage of the game. So, by the way, any questions you have about your own computer use, computer equipment, peripherals, did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Thanks. What are some other terms I could use to make me sound smarter than I am?
Just anything technology oriented.
Bitcoin. Say that a lot.
Yeah.
Bitcoin, blockchain.
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. Blockchain.
Operating system.
Yeah. Okay. Nice, Matt. Okay, so here you go. 969-KTRS, 969-5877 or 1-888-550 KTRS. Star KTRS from your cell phone, and we got Jeff for about 5 or 6 minutes, so if you have questions. And Sherry, we got one coming in, right? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so probably some calls for Jeff here. Jeff's the lead engineer at SumnerOne, and we're going to talk about two-factor authentication today.
Ties right into the problem you just had with PayPal.
All right, so give me the skinny on two-factor authentication.
Two-factor authentication is a methodology of authenticating a person that they are who they say they are when they go to use a web service or an online service or something like that. So in the case of PayPal, if you set up two-factor authentication, when you log into your PayPal account, it will usually then send a text message to your phone that's your known phone or an email to your email address, and then you have to click on a verification or put a code in that might appear on your phone on the website, and then that's a double check to make sure you are who you say you are.
Sure, and that makes sense, and I love when that happens because, and sometimes it's a tiny bit inconvenient, but for the peace of mind, it is well worth it. Can you effect the two-factor authentication at most places? I mean, are you able to sign up for that?
Most places, your big companies for sure.
Okay.
IBM, Google, Apple,
Sure.
all those sites, and even some of the smaller ones nowadays. But as time goes on, it's going to become the standard instead of an option. Right now, it's really still kind of an option.
Sure.
But really, it needs to be the mainstream.
And so really in the two-factor authentication, you log on and you're sent a code rather than you say they ask what your mother's maiden name is or anything. It's just a random generated code.
Absolutely. And so what that does is that basically keeps the hacker, because the chance of a hacker hacking your personal information on the web stays relatively static, but the chance of them being able to hack your account on the web and also possess your phone at the same time is pretty statistically out there. So that's why these things work the way they do.
I like it. And look, speaking from is going through the hassle right now. This is not the hassle that I had with when my identity was stolen, and that was an inside job. I think it was an inside job.
Illuminati!
He looks right at Matt.
I know. Come on, man.
I'm sticking with that. Well, no, this happened years ago, but there was information that could only be found in a certain file at a certain radio station, so somehow
that's not good. Yeah.
Somebody got a hold of that. By the way, I had after that. I don't know if you know this or not, but I lived in Dallas, Texas. Which I really didn't, but I had an address there, and that's where...
Is that where they were sending stuff? Or
and, they were dumb enough to actually be there.
Nice.
Because I called, and I told them...
Not very sophisticated.
No, it wasn't. And, it's funny. I called the Dallas police, and I said, hey, look, this is what's going on. They go, we can't do anything. Call your retail location. So I called Sears. I think they got like $1,500 out of Sears. And I said, look, I will, at my expense, come to Texas to prosecute these guys.
Yep.
You know what they told me? Yeah, don't worry about it.
Nice.
Don't worry about it. Because you know what? I mean, and they have people on retainer that do this kind of thing, but, $1,500 in the grand scheme of things isn't anything for Sears. I got to suffer the identity theft.
Right.
But they just don't, they can't, the cost of taking these people or finding them and, verifying that they're actually the people, it's just.
Yeah, it's nickel and dime stuff to them at the end of the day, so.
Well, we did have a caller, Carla. She didn't want to be on the air because she's driving. So
smart, Carla.
Yes,
Thank
very
you.
smart,
Yeah.
Carla. But she's going to be returning a home computer next week.
Okay.
So she's got the weekend. She wants to know the quickest way to wipe out all of her stuff on the computer.
There's programs you can buy on the web that will actually write zeros to the hard drive multiple times. You can do one. I think a DoD wipe is 7 passes. It'll take hours and hours to do it. I wouldn't recommend that unless there's really, really some super sensitive information. It takes a lot of work to try to get files back even after you do an initial pass. So
DoD, is that Department of Defense?
Department of Defense, yeah.
Okay.
The accepted method for wiping a hard drive from the Department of Defense is to write zeros and ones across every surface of the drive 7 times. And it literally takes hours and hours, depending on the size of the drive. It can take a day or two, to get it completed. But there's all sorts of utilities out there that you can download, and some of them are free, some of them you pay for. It just depends. I would just do a search on wiping hard drives. I recommend somebody do a Google search, and the top few options would be the best.
Why was she taking back a computer that had information on it?
She didn't tell me that part, but maybe it's something in which maybe she is upgrading her computer, maybe getting a different one and wants to get rid of the old one, maybe.
Bring it to us, Carla. We'll wipe it clean.
I guess if all you have is CAD pictures, you don't really have to do a Department of Defense.
Well, I don't know. I've seen some people, they jump all over cat people. I'm a cat person myself.
Okay, fair
enough. So I've suffered, I've been bullied in my life, So we want to ask you about the two-factor authentication and the dark web. How does that play in?
On the dark web, it would just protect you. If you were actually using the dark web, it would just be an extra layer of protection. My strong recommendation is stay away from that and don't mess around in that arena. But if you do have to mess around in that arena, if you're signing up for anything while you're on the dark web, I would make sure that you always subscribe to a two-factor authentication method. Otherwise, you're asking for trouble because you don't know who could be snooping on you once you're in the dark web.
Okay, and before we let you go, Gary from Afton's got a question, and he'd like to ask you. And Gary, welcome to the show. Appreciate you listening. You're on with Jeff Groby from SumnerOne.
Thank you, Guy. I enjoy listening to your program.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry what happened to you, but I had one that you talk about frustrating. I had to deal with the IRS.
Ouch.
Somebody was trying to use my information to get money from the IRS using my name.
Wow.
And you talk about fun, going through the Federal Trade Commission, you name it, I had to do it.
Yeah, the government side, that would be tedious to go through because they have specific processes that they have to follow. It doesn't always make it easy for consumers to go through the process, but they should be able to help you get that resolved.
I'll tell you what, I did a lot of it myself.
Did
basically,
you?
Yeah, because the one thing they did, they had me to sign an affidavit that I didn't know that person.
Sure.
But a lot of it I had to do myself, and they were treating me like I was the suspect.
Yeah, I know. It's awful. And what's happened is with these tax returns, the government is losing billions of dollars. When you think about it, I mean, it's an enormous number, and people are stealing your identity, and they're filing these returns, and by the time you get yours in, it's like, hey, sorry, big red flag, you've already filed, we've already paid you. And
well,
then
the one thing they told me that they were going to keep an open file on me for 6 months. And, they would tell me that I needed to provide them any more information. Then, right about the 6-month period, I get a thing from them again saying, oh, guess what? We're going to watch you for 3 years.
Wow.
Well, I would tell them this, Gary. This will get them off your back. You tell them you're going to watch them for 7 years.
Ooh.
Well, the one thing is, I asked them, and they said, because I wanted to know who the suspect was. And they wouldn't give me the information.
Here he is. And,
take care of him yourself.
Yeah, right.
Well, you know what I mean.
I do. I do.
I knew there wasn't nothing I could do.
No, of course. Look, you're frustrated. I totally get that, Gary. We got to move on, but we do appreciate your call. Sorry you went through that or are going through that, and keep in touch with us. Let us know when you get it cleared up.
I've already gone through it, and I'm sorry for what happened to you, and I hope you have a great weekend and things improve for you.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it. Gary from Afton here on the Guy Phillips Show. With the guys from SumnerOne, actually, the guy, Jeff Groby here. And, Jeff, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, where can they do that?
www.sumnerone.com.
Okay. Phone number at all?
618, my home phone number. 314-633-8000.
633-8000. All right. Have a great weekend.
Thanks.
We'll see you next week.
Yep.
Take
care.
It's Jeff Groby on SumnerOne's Tech Talk.